Hello and welcome to Quick Bites, where we talk about firefighter nutrition in 10 minutes or less. My name is Megan Lautz, and I'm a registered dietitian that specializes in first responders. And today we're talking about performance. And this can be performance on the fire ground, but also performance during your workouts or PT. Now, the biggest thing when it comes to performance, and we talked about this in Nutrition 101, is that carbohydrates are for that quick burst of activity. And a lot of people think it's like a light switch where your body will shift from carbs to burning fat, depending on the type of activity. But the reality is it's kind of more like a gradient, right? So as you ramp up activity, your body starts using more carbohydrate for fuel, glycogen for fuel if it's a longer term exercise. And as you ramp down the activity or the intensity, we start to use fat as fuel. So if you're doing a high intensity, quick burst activity, like a forceful entry, lifting a patient, lifting an object, sprinting, which, maybe you're not doing a ton of that as a firefighter, that is primarily going to be utilizing carbohydrate for fuel. And keeping in mind that your glycogen stores are, finite. You have some, it's not horrible, but like if you're doing 2 hours of overhaul, you're going to need to replace with some carbs during that, either through a snack or through a sports drink or something like that. Now, your body will be primarily using fat during rest or slow, steady state activities. The best thing I could think of is like rucking, which not a lot of my first responders are doing, but if you were in the military prior, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or those long training drills, even a gas leak where you're standing in your, bunker pants and boots for like eternity in the heat, that could be considered your body probably burning more fat. Now, your fuel sources, again, they shift. The higher intensity, the more carbs, the lower intensity, more fat. And where I see declines in physical performance is when people skip meals. And I know intermittent fasting is really popular right now, but skipping meals sometimes can lead to lower energy during the day. So if you've been doing intermittent fasting for a while and your energy has been tanking, consider adding breakfast back in or opening up that eating window and lowering the fasting window and seeing if that helps with your performance. Cutting carbs can also decrease performance. So if you feel like garbage during your workout, consider doing a carb prior to. That might help give you a little bit of energy. Typically, my number one recommendation is an applesauce pouch, which might sound like, why would I eat kid food? Why would I eat baby food? Well, an applesauce pouch is a quick serving of fruit. It's non-perishable, it lasts a while, and it doesn't hurt your tummy because even if you drink it like right before working out, it doesn't weigh you down, but it will give you that energy, that extra boost, especially towards the end of a high intensity workout or training drill. And if you don't have access to food, sports drink will work as well. Again, you want something with sugar to replace that fuel that has been burned and also help rehydrate the cells. So skipping that sports drink or switching to, zero sugar might impact your performance, especially for longer term overhauls and trainings and drills. Now, carbs in general, the more active you are, the more carbs you need. You're burning more fuel, you're burning more calories. Therefore, you just need more calories overall. And a lot of that's going to be coming from carbs, right? If you blow out your knee, and next thing you know, you're on light duty on day work and you're not able to be active, you still need carbs because, again, you're trying to heal that injury, right? There's an injury factor that boosts your calories anyway, but you're probably not as active as you used to be. So keep that in mind. We typically pull back on carbs a little bit if someone gets injured, they're stuck on light duty, they're sitting more. And then if they're back to work, they're ramping their workouts back up, we pull the carbs back up. In general, if you track in MyFitnessPal or something like that, it's roughly 40 to 60% of carbs is what you're looking at. Or calories, 40 to 60% of calories coming from carbs. Good Lord, is what we're looking at. Now, what does this look like in food? As mentioned, typically eating something pre-workout, before PT, before a training, you want to keep it very carb-based. And the reason for that is higher fiber, higher protein, higher fat foods, while some people tolerate them, can cause gas or tummy issues in other people. So a carb-based source will give your body the energy and the calories it needs to get through the workout without the tummy issues, right? So this can be toast with peanut butter and banana, and Uncrustable can work in a pinch, right? A lot of people like those. They're quick, they're easy, they last a while. fruit with peanut butter, fruit with yogurt, a smoothie, a carb-based bar. And when I say a carb-based bar, these are things like Fig bars, Cliff bars, or Kind Press bars, where they don't have a ton of protein. They're primarily carbohydrate-based, and again, will not bother the stomach. Now, post-workout is where we throw in the carb or the protein, right? Because protein will help with muscle recovery, and after workout, it doesn't tend to bother people's stomachs. So you're looking at least 20 to 25 grams of protein minimum, up to 35 grams or more, to optimize muscle protein synthesis. And then you also want to replace carbohydrate, which is about 40 to 60 grams. In terms of what does that look like in food if I don't know macro numbers, right? That's about a protein shake and a fruit or a fig bar. So when I've worked with academies where like we have to get 40 recruits through 6 showers in 20 minutes or less, right? A protein shake and a fig bar was pretty effective because it was quick and it maintained their, their mental energy levels until lunchtime, 2 to 3 hours later. So if you know you've got a training drill or you're sprinting off to the next thing, you might have a call. A protein shake and a fig bar is pretty quick and effective, and it's non-perishable. So you can keep that on the rig in case you do get stuck on some stupid 2-hour gas leak or whatever. Ideally, if you do, again, have food, chicken or a turkey wrap or sandwich with fruit is a great option. A grilled chicken sandwich, tacos, Chipotle bowl with whatever meat of choice, extra pico, extra veggies, and a carb source, or a pasta bowl would be great post-workout. And in terms of things you can keep on hand, the applesauce pouches are great, smoothie pouches. If you're bold enough to go for some of those veggie-based ones that you give to kids, I think they're great. It's an easy way for you to get a fruit or a vegetable in without having to actually prep it, right? So don't sleep on the applesauce pouches. Fig bars, Cliff bars, protein bars are great to have in your locker or in a go bag. A protein shake, mini wheats or Cheerios. A whole grain cereal is something that's easy to pick at if you get stuck on a call. So, those are great. And yes, the frosted mini wheats are fine. I don't know many people who can choke down an unfrosted mini wheat. So it's perfectly fine to do the frosted. They're pretty high in fiber and they can help keep you full. Other things like jerky or Kodiak cakes, fruit bites, those are some things that can keep you, at least from getting hangry by the time you get back to your shift if lunch is delayed. Now, what happens if we catch a box, right? What happens if things are on fire and you get to do fun things, right? Well, ideally, post-fire, what you should eat is what's going to get you to recover in case there is an extra alarm. Now, the fire gods would, of course, have to be smiling down upon you to give you 2 fires in one day. But that's what we're trying to plan for food-wise, like just in case, we want to make sure we recover fully. And even still, this will help you if Granny calls you in the middle of the night, and you have to do a transport. At least you won't be as hangry and cranky, right? We are trying to replace 3 things: fluid, protein, and carbs. Fluid, we're looking at least 16 to 24 ounces per pound lost. You might not know how much that is, but that's the minimum. You got to rehydrate. 20 to 25 grams of protein. That's a standard protein shaker bar to help maximize muscle protein synthesis, AKA gains after a high intensity training or drill or fire. And then carbs to restock your glycogen that was probably burned from doing fun things like, forcible entry, ceilings, that kind of stuff. Now, that looks like either a smoothie or a chicken wrap or sandwich. You're probably going to need like 2 of those, fruit or some 7-Eleven snacks. Now, the reality is, if it's a large enough alarm, the volunteers are probably going to bring you pizza. And here's the thing. I think we all know pizza is not the worst choice, but also how many boxes are you running in a year? Like how many active fires are y'all running in a year? Like you're not running that many. It's not the end of the world to have some pizza because you're starving. You just did a lot of work. But if you are trying to do a little bit healthier, you're trying to eat a little bit better, try to keep it to 2 slices of pizza. And then maybe when you get back to the station, doing a protein shake or a smoothie. A smoothie with berries, almond milk, and whey protein is pretty quick and easy. And all of that stuff is non-perishable. It lasts several weeks, several tours in a fridge or, in the pantry. So that would be a way that you could boost the protein value, get a little bit more out of the recovery, get the antioxidants from the berries to help clean up some of those free radicals you were exposed to. but that's an addition. You're not saying, oh, I can't have pizza. I'm going to try and wait till I get back. And then you're going to be starving and mad. So add the smoothie. It might help improve it. Now, again, those locker snacks are pretty much the same things. You want to try and have some, I recommend a go bag, a rehab bag to keep on whatever rig you're on, just so that you have some snacks in case you get stuck on a longer call. And again, this would be focusing on protein, carbs, and fluid. Protein, you could talk again, a protein bar, the tuna or chicken packets, which they used to come in a can. Now they have them in these little pouch things, which are a lot easier than a can, safer in my opinion. Jerky, or even like the Jif peanut butter in those to-go containers. Carbs, you're looking at your applesauce pouches, big bars, pretzels, dried fruit, crackers. Those are great carbs. And then fluid, a protein shake would count, right? They're not great when they're hot, but they will do. Having an additional water bottle, and then having some drip drop liquid IV or rehydration solution, something in there. Drip drop and liquid IV, they come in packets, so they're a little bit more portable than a full sports drink. But of course, if you prefer those, that's fine as well. Other things people tend to keep in these go bags include ibuprofen, Tylenol, some eye drops in case smoke gets in your eyes, decon wipes. Sunscreen is another big one, because if you get stuck on an accident when there's no clouds in the sky, burnt, not fun. So those are some things that you can consider in a go bag. Now, to summarize performance, again, we're trying to focus on protein, carbs, and fluid post-workout after a high-intensity call. If we know we have a drill or a training, we want to focus on carbs so that our tummy doesn't hurt, right? From protein, fiber, and fat. And keep a go bag on hand. That can make a big difference in your food choices later in the day, especially if you get stuck on some calls. Again, my name is Megan. If you have any questions, shoot me an email at megan@rescuerd.com or follow me on social media at rescue.rd on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok.